to go to any place in all the heavens, but were lost and crying out for help. So here is how the continent of Pan was sunken underwater by the power of Jehovah through his Etherian gods and goddesses, with their advanced and sophisticated technology, while the people on earth at the time had no clue as to what was going on, believing the world was coming to an end, which indeed it was for that time. Now, while this was the matter in the heavens above Pan, here's what the inhabitants of the earth experienced. And in the Lord's first book, chapter 1, verse 42 through 50, here is what the chosen felt on earth at the time of the sinking of Pan. Verse 42. And the earth rocked to and fro as a ship at sea, and the rains fell in torrents, and loud thundering came upon from beneath the floors of the world. And the sea came up on the land, first upon the valleys and then upon the mountains, so that the ships floated on the waters. Verse 43. But the land was swallowed up, valleys and mountains, and all the living perished, except the Ains, who floated off in the ships. Verse 44. And the Lord said, I numbered them that were saved, and there were 12,420, and these were all that remained of the first race of men that walked on 2 feet. So here it gives the number of people that were chosen to be saved. The Lord numbered them, and there were 12,420 people that were saved from the sinking of Pan. And it is this remnant of 12,420 people that will start the new era after the flood. Verse 45. Behold, I will carry them to all the divisions of the earth, and people it anew with the seed of my chosen. Verse 46. And Jehovah blew his breath upon the ships of his sons and daughters, blew them about upon the ocean, blew them to the east, west, north, and south. Verse 47. By the will of God were the ships congregated into 4 fleets, 34 ships into each fleet, except 2 ships which were carried in a fleet to themselves. So here is the breakdown. You have 4 fleets, and for each fleet you have 34 ships. So 4 fleets of 34 ships is 136 ships. And then you have the 2 ships that were separated from the other fleets, making it 138 ships altogether. And in verse 48 it states, the Lord said, I will name the fleets of my chosen, and their names shall be everlasting on the earth. And the Lord named them Gautama, Shem, Japhet, Ham, and Yesta. So here are the names of the 5 fleets or groups of ships. The fleet of Gautama, the fleet of Shem, the fleet of Japhet, the fleet of Ham or Cam, and the fleet of Yesta. And these names apply to the groups or fleets, not to an individual or person. Verse 49. And the Lord said, from these my seed will I people the earth over in all the divisions thereof, and that after generations for thousands of years may know the work of my hand. Behold, I give them a sign, which is my covenant to them, and their hearers forever. Verse 50. Which is my crescent in the form of a rainbow. And whatsoever people bear this, my sign, shall be as a remembrance to me of my covenant, nor shall they be destroyed from the inheritance which I have given unto them. So here Jehovah gives his covenant marked by the rainbow in remembrance of not to destroy the inhabitants or the inheritance of humans again. And in the book of Aph, son of Jehovah, chapter 7, verse 7 and 8, it states, verse 7 states, I said, by the light, Jehovah, I desire 2 ships to go to the northland, which was not sunken, for they shall be a testimony in time to come. Let thy gods therefore shift the winds, and drive 2 ships aside from the rest. And in that same time my messengers will go and lead the way to the north land, whither thy God shall shape the winds of heaven. Verse 8. Now those in charge of the wind currents divided the ships and drove two of them off to the north land. And the gods and angels turned the currents about and drove the four groups or ships in four different ways, according to the direction of God, son of Jehovah. And the messengers of God led the way, showing the gods and angels of the wind, the countries designated by Jehovah. So here, God wants two ships to go to the north of where Pan was sunken, to settle these two ships on an island, which is now today called Japan, as a testimony for later days to come. And the gods control the winds to direct the five fleets to their designated places. And in the Lord's first book, chapter 1, verse 51 through 52, it states, And the chosen looked out of their ships, and the sky was clearing, and a rainbow shone in the firmament. And by the light thereof the land was found, whither the Lord brought his people. Verse 52. And in 150 days from the beginning of the flood, the ships were brought into their respective places as the Lord designed them. So landed they in the different countries of the world. So after 150 days, the chosen came out of the ships to a new start on earth. And the ships landed in the countries the Lord designed them to. And 150 days is 5 moon cycles. Now in the book of Aph, son of Jehovah, chapter 7, verse 9 through 12, it states, So it came to pass that in 150 days' time, all the ships of the faithless or chosen were in their ports, and the people went ashore in the different countries whither they had been taken. Again, thy voice, O Jehovah, came to me, saying, Behold, my people are few in the world, lest they take the ships and sail about, and so get divided and lost. Thou shalt send thy host down to the sea at night to sink the ships. So here Jehovah commands the angels to sink the ships that night after the chosen gets all their goods off the boat, so that they may not try to sail across the sea and become lost out at sea, being that they are few in number. And in verse 10 states, When I told God, Neph, what thou hast said, God said unto me, My angel shall inspire the irons to take all things out of the ships, and this night shall thy host fulfill the commandment of Jehovah. And so it came to pass, the irons took all their goods out of the ships, not knowing they were inspired. And in the night I sent angels down, and they sank the ships. Verse 11. And in the morning the irons beheld their ships had disappeared, and they said with one voice, Of a truth, I know I was inspired, for I would not rest till all the goods were taken out of the ship. Let us therefore build an altar unto the Lord, and sing and dance, because he is with us. And when God, whose name is Neph, saw that their souls were propitious for good works and miracles, he stationed his ashars, or guardian angels, around about the altars, and sent other guardian angels into the country, and they gathered fruits which was growing wild, and brought it to the irons, or the chosen, casting it on the altar of the Lord, even while the people danced. Verse 12. Thus did I fulfill the work thou commandest me, O Jehovah, whereupon I surrender my commission to thy son, Neph, God of heaven and earth. So here it was the angels that came down at night when the chosen were sleeping and sunk the boats. And when the chosen rose the next morning, the boats were gone. And from that point on was the beginning of a new start on the lands of Shem, Ham, Japhet, Gautama, and Yesta. Now, when the boats arrived at land, it was off the coastline of these countries that they arrived at, and then migrated inland. And such was the flood or sinking of Pan in the ark of Noah. Now, you had 12,420 people that survived. And this is where you get different stories of the flood in different parts of the world, because each tribe had their story.